This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate, and available on the DAZN app for subscribers. I've got a man like Gad on my screen. I'm going to do a little disclaimer before we get into our little pre-talk before the interview. No uploads for a week, and that is because, and Gareth, this may be the first time you're hearing this, but we have a
Yeah.
new employee starting today. Oscar Bevis joins us at the Stomping Ground. So it's been a bit of an admin week. But now we've got a bigger team coming on board, more interviews coming, and of course myself and the main man Gad, who is repping a lovely little jacket, if I must say so myself.
Do you like it?
It's nice, mate. What is it?
It's Ichigo Biondo, who very kindly sponsored me with this beautiful jacket. Might as well just model it for you. There you go.
Yes, Gad. Love
It's
it.
good for my
I quite
motorbike,
like
good
it,
for under a
mate.
jacket on fight night.
You
It's
get me one.
beautifully comfortable. Um,
Do you reckon you
and
could sort me one out, Gareth, or is that pushing it?
well, let's see if Ichigo Biondo spot this and you do millions of views, then you might well do. Was that a shutter behind you to your right?
Yes, it is.
What's that light behind you to your left? Is that a reflection in
There's
the
a
glass
reflection of
door?
the light up here, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm in my conservatory, weirdly enough.
Are
Don't
you
think
seen on this video or not?
I am. I am, yeah.
You finished eating, you cooked a roast tonight.
No, I've got some mozzarella dippers. They're waiting for me for when the interview finishes.
Is that a microwave thing or an oven thing?
Little oven food, little
A
quick.
little oven thing.
Well, I've not eaten since
Riyadh.
2 p.m. Yeah, since Rio.
Yeah.
I'm just wasting away slowly. I've not eaten since 2 p.m. So made some food. And obviously you can't see, but always little badge number, Shan.
What's that?
Little, oh, come on, Gareth. If you don't know what that is, then we need to have a stern word.
I don't know.
Stone Island, Gareth.
Oh, Stone Island. Sorry, yeah. So of course it is, yeah.
Come on. Well, I'll give a bit of context. It is currently 5 past midnight. I
Yeah,
don't
it is indeed.
work it out at this time. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. I was
I'm
just
in Chris Billum Smith's hometown, by the way, at the moment.
well, let's go on to that. You're in Chris Billam's
Nice segue, isn't it? Yeah.
doing a podcast tomorrow, but let's talk about the fight itself.
Yeah. We Dodge
Yeah.
Woodall, just to put that out there.
Shout
I
out
think
Dodge Woodall. I want to go backstage to Bournemouth Sevens next year. CBS Riapolov, talk to me. Feels like people are leaning towards Riapolov a little bit. Obviously, it's at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace. Quite excited to see a new stadium
mm,
come into play from a boxing standpoint. Talk me through it.
I think it's 70 years since they've had an event there from memory. Um, oh God, it's late. Did Len Harvey fight there? I think he might have. But it's a place where there have been fights in the 50s, 60s. There was a 70s fight. Yes, I think you're right. I think people are leaning towards Richard Riakporhe. I think he's very fortunate to be having the fight at Selhurst Park, his hometown. I think he's a Crystal Palace supporter as well, isn't he? I don't know how many the fight is set up for. I haven't. I did see Ben Shalom at the weekend at PFL MMA. He was up in Newcastle on the Saturday night. Fantastic night that was as well. 14 fights, 28 fighters, 16 countries. So real great atmosphere. And of course, Savannah Marshall on her MMA debut. I'll come to Richard and Chris in a minute. On her MMA debut, taken to the ground 3 times, but every time she managed to get up, she had some spite in her. It was very thrilling. And it looks like Claressa was there as well. I spent a couple of days with her. She had her 2 gold medals from the Olympics with her. Weirdly, they seem to bury the beef in the
Yeah.
smart cage
Why are they so cool with each other all of a sudden?
because Claressa really admires what Savannah did because that was the scariest fight Savannah's ever been in because a boxer taken to the ground and on their back, they are so uncomfortable with it. And when you think Sav's only been doing MMA for about 6 months, she was against a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter and striker who wasn't that much smaller than her as well. They fought at 160 pounds. So she dropped 8 pounds in weight. She looked fantastic for it. It was an amazing walk-in. It was real drama because every time she was taken down, people thought she was going to get finished. And she got up and she threw her hands. It was absolutely amazing. Claressa then got in the smart cage with her, and they fist bumped about 4 times. And Claressa really appreciated what Savannah's gone through to do that. And now they're going to fight in MMA. So I think they buried the beef. And that is going to be 4-ounce gloves. That is just going to be vicious. And maybe Savannah is a marginal favourite in that because she does hit very, very hard. It was a brilliant finish in the first round. It was such fun. Adam Smith was up there working with me. Stefan Struve, the skyscraper, 7-foot-tall Dutch fighter I covered for many years. Remember post-fight interviews with him when he broke his jaw against Mark Hunt, the great Mark Hunt in Japan, when he got his head caved open when he was only like 20 in the first ever UFC in Cologne 15 years ago. Sean O'Connell on the mic, Dan Hardy. It was a brilliant, fun night. And
interject quickly. You mentioned being in a cage. Now, I look at it 2 ways. One, I think it's more exciting in a cage, if I'm being brutally honest. I think
between those two.
But is it not a little bit disappointing as boxing fans that, and I say the excitement part because they're in the small gloves, right? And we know how hard Savannah whacks, etc. Is it not a little bit disappointing as boxing fans that fights like that are being pulled away from the ring?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a period in which people are crossing over quite a lot. And it's not, this is no influencer or misfits thing. I think female fighters, boxers, female combat sports athletes find it easier to cross over at the moment because you can't put them in against the very highest level mixed martial artists, but because of the field and the way it is at the moment, the depth of the field, you can make it happen. It was very, very exciting, genuinely. And I think it's going to be very exciting when those two meet. It's not going to be a long fight, I'll tell you that.
We need to talk about CBS Riapolov, but on the topic of by the way, yes, people, I am on my last mozzarella dip.
Claressa's about to fight a heavyweight in boxing.
That's what I was going to ask, right? Gareth, there's only 23 female heavyweight fighters on BoxRec. What's going on there?
She just wants to do something that other women haven't done. And I think, will it be 4 weights? I'm trying to remember now. She's obviously a 2-weight world champion. I know she wants to fight at 154 against Natasha Jonas.
She win a belt at 154 or not?
I cannot remember right now. I can look very quick.
No, she's 2-time undisputed, 160, 168. So heavy.
Yeah.
She picked up about 154.
I know she wants to fight Jonas at 154 and said she could make it.
Yeah.
I don't think she can go any lower than that. She's a tall, powerful, broad woman. It was great to chat to her. She's such an amazing character, the Goat, the greatest woman of all time. With her
fighting in a division where there's 23 fighters is a bit pointless.
Would you tell that to Claressa?
No, I absolutely wouldn't. No way. But
well, you know the rule, Charlie. You only broadcast and say what you'd say to someone's face.
No, I would actually. I would, but
you like to ask the question, what is the point in it? I think it's good because it's stretching the boundaries and there's an opportunity there for her to do it. And good luck to her, I say. Right.
CBS Riapolov talk. You mentioned,
finally.
Yeah. You mentioned, I mentioned Riapolov probably goes in as a slight fan's sort of favourite into this one. I mean that in terms of picking him with the bookmakers, etc. Crispin Smith, tough, durable. Obviously, it's a rematch. Selhurst Park. What do you think? Do you lean towards Riapolov?
Well, first of all, and you know, I would say this to the promoter's face. I think they should have done it down here in Bournemouth because I think Chris Smith should have had all the advantages that he deserved. Were you at the event in the arena here?
I did. No, I didn't do the one at the stadium, but I
That
went.
was fun. No, the arena in the Birmingham, right down by the beach.
What was the fight in? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You did it was that was Masterneck.
No, I did one very close to Christmas, and the atmosphere was electric in there. I
Yeah.
cannot. What was the guy's name? Oh, it's going to annoy me. Someone put it in the comments, but it was like a midway stoppage, brutal atmosphere, and it was brilliant. I have to say, I was very surprised at just how much they backed him, which is why I was a little bit surprised that this fight went to Selhurst Park. But part of me finds it refreshing in that I suppose Boxer from their standpoint, you know, it's another stadium to tick off. It's another big event done. But with how good Chris Smith's support has been at home, with him being the world champion, I do agree on that side. It feels a bit weird it not taking place at the Vitality.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd love them to have done it at the football ground. I was there on that balmy night when he beat Lawrence Okoli, who's obviously since recovered and gone up and won the Bridgerweight title in emphatic fashion against Lucas Rosensky, obviously in Poland. Yeah, I find it a little odd. And I do think it gives advantages to Riapolov. He's not got to travel far away from home. He'll have the majority of the support, I think. And I do see him as a marginal favourite. And I think incredibly, like you said, and also he's got a win over Chris already. I think is that 5 years ago now?
I remember seeing that fight. Yeah, must be.
7. I didn't look at his record before we spoke. And it was a very good fight as well, and quite a close
I
fight.
remember, yeah, I remember Chris feeling like he was on the wrong end of a decision, one that could have really.
There was a bit of controversy there, no doubt about it.
I've got a feeling it was.
Yeah, it was 2019. It was 5 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
And it was a split decision, if you recall.
Yeah, I remember Chris feeling like he was on the wrong end of it. It was one of those fights that could have been made, you know, 3 months down the line in an immediate rematch.
But also, they're very different fighters from 5 years ago. Richard's come on a long way, but Chris is now the champion, and he put in, as you say, a brilliant performance at the Vitality, an incredible atmosphere to beat Lawrence Okoli. And then when he had a tough fight in the arena against Mateusz Masternak, I think it was,
Yes.
from memory, it was a brilliant night. When he didn't have it all his own way,
Come out of the. He caught up after that fight. That was a bit, yeah.
He turned it around, and that's what we've seen from him, that he can turn a fight around. So, you know, I might be doing him a disservice by saying Richard's the favourite, but something tells me that in the last 4 rounds of the fight, I don't think it'll end early. I think Richard is a much more patient fighter now. We know the power he's got. And he has come on. It's a really compelling, intriguing contest. I just feel if they get to 8 rounds onwards, I just think that Richard may have it in him to win either on points or late stoppage.
Right. I know that we're pressed for time-ish and it's kind of late. So as much as I would like to dissect the undercard and everything with you, maybe we catch up. I don't know, whether it be after the fight or whatever.
Or in the press conference or whatever.
Yes. Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury, should I say. Rematch has been provisionally planned for December, just before Christmas again.
Is it only provisional?
Well, I suppose you can call it provisional because we've not had the. Actually, no, I suppose if His Excellency puts something out there, it's out, right? But we've not had venue. We know it will be the Kingdom Arena, I'm sure, but all the posters and everything put out yet. I suppose that's because it's so far away. But Gareth, I'm curious. I have only seen highlights back. I've not seen much of the corner, but I remember after the fight, there was a lot of sort of criticism on the Fury corner, saying there just needs to be one voice, etc. Now, obviously, provisionally it was meant to be October. Now we're talking December. probably doesn't give him enough time to if he was to make changes in the team or everything, and you'd probably want to go in with one fight. Someone said that was Big John Fury's first time in the corner. What do you make of it all, and what does Tyson have to do differently? I think firstly, it would just be safe to say as fans that just box like the bigger man a little bit more at times.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw that going into rounds 5 and 6, I think. We saw the blueprint for a victory for him. Like to see him a little bit heavier than he was, a bit bulkier than he was. Although his fitness, he recovered extraordinarily in the 10th round.
Incredible.
That's a testament to Christian Blacklock and Greg Marriott for the condition he was in, his strength and conditioning coach and his nutritionist. Yeah, I think, there was a lot of talk in the corner, and that's because it was a very, very close fight at the end. And, there was a degree of concern from them all at the time. I mean, not all of them, but obviously there's, you can look back. If he'd stopped Usyk in the last couple of rounds or the last round, that wouldn't have been an issue.
No.
But
The reason I ask, I remember at the post-fight press conference, and obviously I don't ever think there's so much that we can take from fighters in those moments because you go from a mad adrenaline high in the ring, and I still think people are a little bit harsh to criticize Tyson for some of his comments in the ring because it's similar to when AJ was the ring, whatever. He also said Happy New Year, so he wasn't in his right mind, clearly. But then to sort of come down from that huge adrenaline dump, then sit there and do the press conference. But he did say at one point, well, if the corner had told me differently, maybe I would have boxed differently. And I remember that being one thing that stood with me coming away from that press conference.
yeah, I mean, in hindsight, when you look at that last round, because of the scoring, he needed to be told, go in there and knock him down. Go in there. And if you think he won a 10-8 round, I gave him the last round, by the way. Did you give Tyson the last round or not?
I can't remember now. Can't remember.
Okay. Well, I definitely gave Tyson the last round. I gave him Usyk the first, Tyson the next 5, Usyk all the way to 11 with a 10-8 in the 9th, and then Fury the last. I had Usyk winning 114, 113 on my cards. It was a very close fight. And if he'd been told to go out there and finish Usyk or go balls to the wall and try and stop him, it might have been a draw, or it might have, yeah, I think it might have been a draw. I'd picked a draw, by the way.
I know, controversial draw.
And it might have been a controversial draw in some people's eyes. They have vastly different styles, Fury and Usyk, remember. It's not a style. One is a southpaw pressure fighter who throws combinations of 3 punches, very left-handed. His right hook is also dangerous, but it was that left hand that did all the damage. Tyson Fury, I've said, and I can remember saying, I know it's a couple of weeks ago now, almost got too comfortable and too greedy in there in the middle rounds. Yeah. There's enough there for them to go away and work on. And, I don't think I'd be out of place saying if Fury wins the second fight, it'll be Fury and AJ next. And then it might be a Fury Usyk trilogy if Fury beats Joshua. If Joshua wins, it'll be a Usyk trilogy probably.
I feel right now we see Joshua Usyk 3. I think we see Joshua Fury potentially both times, depending on how they want to do it. I think we see obviously.
No, I don't agree with you. I think if Fury loses to Usyk, he might call it a day because he might.
I just feel like the money.
He'll be tempted back to you.
Money for that Joshua fight is so monumental, and I think actually you could be right, Gareth. That could just be hope in me hoping that as
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's probably Fury Joshua is probably the richest fight in boxing right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. Amir Khan versus KSI rumoured for back end of this year.
Next question.
Go on, talk to me.
I really don't have a lot to say about that. Amir's still banned from boxing right now. He's on a 2-year ban. I don't really want to see Amir get in with KSI, and I would say that to Amir, and I just don't see it as a. I just don't see it as. I mean, as he said, whatever was in his system, he didn't do it deliberately, but he just accepted the. It's a 2-year ban, wasn't it? 2-year suspension.
Was yeah. This
I don't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's great for Amir if he's going to earn a payday, but obviously it's unlicensed in terms of boxing border control and all those kind of things. I don't think it'll sell. I just don't think it'll sell.
fair enough.
I don't think it's a good fight for KSI either.
Doubly fair enough. But on that topic and that sort of world and scene, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson has been put back till November. Now, my opinion, you may share a similar one. Probably would have bought it. Probably would have been there if I didn't buy it.
Oh, definitely, me too. Because it's Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson.
However, doesn't matter how good he once was, 58-year-old man, which I think he'll be when he gets in the ring. If he gets caught flush by a 28-year-old athlete, which is what Jake Paul is, it's just not right. And I don't think that the Texas Commission or whatever should have even sanctioned it as a pro fight. Do I find it quite... It's a great sell. It's genius for Netflix, everything. Taylor Serrano undercard, brilliant. I just, like I said, would have been there. It just, now with this that's happened and it's put him back and everything, and then there's pictures of him in the wheelchair, just feels like maybe we should nip this one in the bud.
Well, we aren't able to nip anything in the bud. It's up to them.
No.
And that's where I leave it. It's up to them what they do. It's up to Mike Tyson if he wants to step in.
Yeah, that viewpoint though.
With you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, I am concerned about Mike having this fight at this age, like you say, against a man 30 years his junior. It's like me stepping in against you, except I give you a good fucking beating.
Fucking hell, Gareth.
But like Mike Tyson, I'd probably only be able to give you a good beating for 2 minutes. And after that, with those little powerful legs of yours and your physicality, I'd have to watch out because I'm slightly older than Mike, and you're slightly younger than Jake. No, I jest, of course, but it is unedifying in a way. But I don't begrudge Mike earning money, but I do have concerns for his health going into it. No question about it. I would be watching with concern. And it wouldn't surprise me if he got an injury again in the next camp.
And then it just all, yeah.
And then it just evaporates. I'd love him to knock Jake out. Sorry, Jake. And I love Jake as well. I really do love Jake.
Fantastic.
You know, a very, very interesting character, and good luck to him. Again, it's business. People, like you say, it's a big earner. Millions would watch it on Netflix. It's a massive PR campaign. When it was announced, when we were at Knockout Chaos on the Friday, it's all right. You got foxes at the door?
That's actually the inner to my house. I just thought I could hear something, but I can't.
What's that behind you?
Yeah, I can actually see on the screen, Gareth.
What's that behind you? Ooh. Remember, it's the witching hour.
Oh, we're tired, isn't it? This has been the funniest, just smooth chat.
No, I've got something. On Saturday night, one of the great women fighters of all time is fighting in London as well, and I'm going to be there presenting on it, by the way.
You are Crypto Fight Night. I want to get involved with a little Crypto Fight Night.
You just stick to Selhurst Park on Saturday night.
I'm actually not at Selhurst Park. Big
Right.
Bash.
Where?
What? No, I didn't say I was. I'm nowhere this weekend.
You're everywhere but nowhere, baby. That's where you're at.
Where but nowhere, maybe. I don't know what that means. Finally,
Lyrics from a song. Lyrics from a song.
Joshua-Dubois, potentially, most likely, fair to say. I love it personally. I think Dubois deserves it. I think it's good to see Joshua in the UK again, headlining at a stadium. I still think he does a stadium. I think with what we're hearing about the undercard could be brilliant. Still more to be done. We've got a press conference in a week or so announcing it on, I believe, the 23rd or 24th, I think His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh put out.
Did he?
Right?
Has he put that out already?
Oh, it was common news on the 5v5 fight week, yeah. That a London press conference would.
Late in June, yeah. Yeah. I didn't know he'd specified a date, that was all.
Yeah, I think there was a date because I mentioned it in one of my Hearn interviews and he picked me up on it being the wrong one. So,
Aura, Charlie.
or
Keep upping that aura. You've missed. Oh yeah, it's a great fight. It's a really big fight. You'll do massive numbers at Wembley. I'm hearing things about the undercard that I can't reveal now, but
same here.
are enormous.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hamza Shiraz and Chris Eubank has been teased. I love that fight. I think it's great for Hamza Shiraz. It's a big name for him to fight, and it elevates his name. And I think it's a really good fight for him stylistically because he's not a talker. He doesn't over promote himself, but the fact he's involved against the Eubank is a really good thing. As for Joshua and Dubois, there's enough jeopardy there for Anthony Joshua against Daniel Dubois to make it a very interesting fight. And we got to see perhaps how Dubois responds to being hit by right hands from Anthony Joshua. But Don Charles, knowing Anthony Joshua quite well, makes it very, very interesting as well. Very interesting. But you've forgotten to ask me one other question.
Did I?
What do I think of Martin Bakole and Jared Anderson?
Bloody hell, yeah.
I really like that fight. It's
Right.
an amazing fight. Where if the bowling ball thighs of a Coley and his power really turns up, that could be a massive test for Jared Anderson. I think it will be anyway, because a Coley's got balls of steel, and he's one of the very underrated, undersold,
Heavyweight.
underexposed, if you like, fighters of the heavyweight division. We could get a shock there on the right night for him, but I like the fact that Jared Anderson is now with Sugar Hill. I like that. And I just think it's going to be a really good fight. Really, I like that fight more than I would have liked Wilder against Jared Anderson, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Bakole is still in his prime.
Yeah.
And it's a massive opportunity for him because if Martin Bakole beats Jared Anderson, obviously it's really good matchmaking by the Saudi Arabians, really good matchmaking by, I say the Saudi Arabians, I mean, His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh is really pushing that. Obviously, I imagine Queensbury, Top Rank, Spencer Brown will have been involved. Billy Nelson will have been involved as well. But Billy obviously coaches, trains Bakole. It's a really good fight. I'm really looking forward to it. And it really makes me want to go
Makes you want to go.
to the event.
Oh, I was thinking that's well, yeah, but to be fair, mate, the whole undercard, the whole card. By the way, I'm going to tell you, yeah, Jose Valenzuela
Yeah, against Isaac Cruz, yeah.
beats Cruz. When I tell you, I have never ever in my life seen someone better in the gym, like to the point where I was like, oh my God, like I watched this guy when 4 years ago before he'd ever stepped up, unbeaten, still a PBC fighter with decent backing, don't get me wrong. I knew, and then when he took, obviously he's taken a couple of losses. Trust me, that guy is going to become boxing's one of boxing's best stars. Go on, I'm not saying that.
I'm not sure. I think Pitbull Cruz is very, very, very talented and very, very dangerous.
He's a beast, and he's going to show a lot of people up that night.
We can only show one person up, and that's Isaac Cruz. But I'm not sure. I wouldn't sleep on Isaac Cruz if I were you.
I'm not sleeping on him. I just think Valenzuela's.
He's undefeated, Cruz, isn't he?
No.
Who beat? Was it Tank?
Yeah.
Was it Tank?
Tank beat him.
Yeah, yeah. So, but Valenzuela ain't Tank.
No, I agree, but just wait. Just wait on that one, Gareth.
Well, I mean, you're the expert, Charlie.
You're the well, I don't know if expert.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. Let's see. Pitbull, like you say, in terms of the angles he creates and his punch variety and his chin and his speed, I don't question any of that. But he's going to be taken into waters he's never been in before. By Pitbull Cruz, I think, into a dangerous place, very dangerous place.
Well, we shall see. Gareth A. Davies.
He's got height and reach advantages as well, hasn't he, in that fight? Now that's where it's a great card, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope we get out there.
Man like Gad, top guy. Enjoy your podcast in Bournemouth. Maybe see you throughout the rest of the week. Probably not. But...
Yeah, I'll see you at the CBS Riapolov media day, probably at the press conference. But I am going to go and see Cyborg on Saturday night and lead the broadcast on there.
Big dog, Gareth, always a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, as indeed, Charlie. Cheers.
Oh, trying to stop the recording. We're still going. There we are.